The savanna air shimmered with heat as a low roar echoed through the dry grasslands. It wasn't the usual thunder of a lion's call, it was broken, ragged, full of pain. Rangers from the nearby wildlife reserve stopped in their tracks, straining their ears. One of them, Jamal, pointed toward a cluster of acacia trees where dust was swirling unnaturally. Within seconds, the horrifying truth became clear. A massive male lion, his golden mane thrashing violently, was being swarmed by a black cloud of furious bees. His growls turned into choking coughs as he tried desperately to shake them off, but the stings kept coming, covering his eyes, ears, and nose. The rangers knew every second mattered. Bee stings, especially in such overwhelming numbers, could suffocate or kill even a powerful lion. But getting close was dangerous. The insects would attack anything that moved nearby. Still, Jamal radioed in. "We've got a lion under attack by bees. Full rescue team needed. Tranquilizers, smoke, nets. Hurry." The team scrambled, loading gear into their vehicle. As they sped toward the site, the lion's roars weakened, turning into pitiful groans. Dust and buzzing filled the air like a living storm. For a moment, everyone feared they might already be too late. The rescue truck screeched to a halt, and the team leapt out, faces shielded with protective veils. Thick coils of smoke billowed from canisters, pushing back the swarm just enough to see the lion's trembling frame collapse into the dirt. His once proud mane was crawling with bees, his eyes swollen nearly shut. "We need to dart him, now," one rescuer shouted. Jamal steadied the tranquilizer rifle, his hands shaking, and fired. The dart struck the lion's haunch, and within moments, the great beast sank into unconscious stillness. Working quickly, the team draped heavy nets soaked in smoke over the animal's body to ward off the insects. Gloves on, they began the painstaking task of brushing, rinsing, and pulling stingers from his skin. Dozens, then hundreds of bees were removed as the lion's sides rose and fell shallowly. Minutes stretched like hours. Finally, when the last of the swarm had retreated into the trees, the team flushed his wounds with cool antiseptic water. As dawn broke over the savanna, the lion lay bandaged but alive. He stirred weakly, a deep breath shuddering through him. Jamal knelt beside him, whispering, "You'll make it, old king." The team knew the battle wasn't just to save one lion, it was to protect the balance of the wild, where every creature, even in the face of danger, had a right to serve. The vehicle jolted as it skidded to a halt on the uneven savanna ground. Dust plumed into the air, mingling with the buzzing roar that filled the atmosphere like a thunderstorm. The team jumped out in practiced formation, each member pulling on protective veils and gloves. This was not just any rescue, it was a race against time, and the odds were stacked against them. Through the veil of smoke and dust, the lion was barely visible. His once regal golden mane was a writhing mass of insects. His paws thrashed weakly against the earth, claws digging furrows in the dry ground as he tried to fend off the swarm. The guttural sound he released, a strangled mixture of growl and groan, sent a chill down every rescuer's spine. This was a king brought to his knees, not by another predator, but by thousands of relentless stingers. "Get the smoke canisters going, now," Jamal barked, his voice muffled but sharp. Two rangers lit thick coils of smoldering material and waved them in wide arcs, sending dense plumes drifting over the area. Bees hate smoke. It confuses them, dulls their aggression, and makes them retreat toward their hive. But the swarm was massive, and progress was slow. The rescuers had to edge forward inch by inch, shielding their faces, their skin prickling as stray bees still found their way through gaps. The lion staggered, stumbling in the haze. His powerful chest heaved with shallow, frantic breaths. "He won't last much longer," muttered one ranger. Jamal didn't hesitate. He shouldered the tranquilizer rifle, steadied his aim despite the chaos, and fired. The dart hissed through the air and struck true in the lion's muscular haunch. The animal jolted, let out a final, broken roar, and then collapsed, his body shuddering before going still. The moment the lion dropped, the team surged forward. Time was critical. Tranquilizers gave them only a short window before the lion either woke or slipped too deep. They pulled a heavy net soaked with smoke over the great cat's body, creating a barrier against the lingering bees. Slowly, the furious cloud began to thin, retreating back toward the acacias. With the immediate threat easing, the rescuers set to work. Up close, the sight was even worse than they had feared. The lion's eyes were swollen almost completely shut, his ears riddled with stingers, his nose crusted with blood. His magnificent mane looked patchy and burned where clusters of bees had attacked. The skin beneath was raw and blistering. "Easy, big guy, we've got you," whispered one ranger as though the lion could hear him through the sedation. With gloved hands, they began the delicate, exhausting process of removing stingers one by one. Tweezers clicked, brushes swept, buckets of cool antiseptic water were poured over the burns to soothe the angry welts. Every motion was careful, too rough, and they risked tearing already damaged skin. Too slow, and the sedation could wear off before they finished. Minutes bled into an hour. Sweat trickled down their faces under the heat of the sun and the weight of protective gear. The lion's breathing was ragged but steady, his massive frame rising and falling with each shallow inhale. Jamal knelt at his side, hands steady despite the ache in his arms. He had worked countless rescues, elephants tangled in wire, rhinos caught in mud, but this felt different. The sheer vulnerability of the lion, the way the king of the plains was reduced to a trembling victim, pressed heavily on his heart. Finally, the last of the bees dispersed fully into the horizon. The stingers had been pulled, the wounds flushed and treated with ointment, and damp cloths were draped over the lion to help bring down his body temperature. The mane, though singed and thinned, still carried hints of its golden glory beneath the grime. The team leaned back, exhausted but relieved. A low rumble vibrated from the lion's chest, faint, but alive. His tail flicked once against the dirt. He was fighting. He was surviving. "Let's get him to the holding enclosure," Jamal ordered softly. They carefully lifted the lion onto a stretcher, muscles straining under his immense weight. Even weakened, the animal was a giant. With practiced coordination, they slid him into the transport cage, securing the door gently but firmly. The truck rumbled to life, carrying the battered king back to the reserve's veterinary unit. As dawn broke over the savannah, streaks of gold and crimson painted the horizon. Inside the enclosure, the lion stirred under careful watch. Bandaged and drowsy, he blinked slowly, his swollen eyes just barely opening to glimpse the rising sun. Jamal stood outside, weary yet triumphant, and whispered, "You'll make it, old king. The wild still needs you." The mission had been more than a rescue, it was a testament to the fragile balance of the natural world. Even the strongest creatures sometimes needed saving. And on this day, humanity had risen to the call, not to conquer, but to protect.